Should put my microphone on first. Good evening. How is everybody doing? Thank you for joining today. Let me just make sure my chat is visible. Thanks to all of you for sticking around there. I had a minor emergency as I pushed the live button. I had a work call, so I was dealing with that while while the intro was going on there. But yeah, good to see 23 of you here at the moment. Thanks very much, guys. Good to see you all. I just wanted to jump on and talk about a few things. Had a lot of deliveries recently, which I wanted to show you. And also, I've had a lot of subscribers over the last 2 weeks, nearly 500 subscribers over the last 2 weeks. So I wanted to kind of talk to those new subscribers as well, tell them a bit more about me and the channel and my history and all that kind of stuff. Just make newcomers feel a little bit more welcome and not just kind of do a live stream and bounce right into it with people not knowing too much about what we do and all that kind of stuff. So for those of you that are new, my name is Darren. I've been on YouTube now for coming up to 5 years. I have another channel with a good friend of mine, Frank Riker, called TSL Movie Podcast, which we've been doing for a long time now. We have over 700 episodes over there. It's done quite well. We have a lot of members as well, well over 100, 150 members or something like that on that channel. And both of us still are really, active on that channel. We try to do a couple of episodes a week over there. We also have our own separate channels as well, because there are things that we want to talk about ourselves that aren't really conducive to that particular channel. Maybe little hobbies we have, little fads, things like that. And so we went our kind of separate ways in terms of building our own channels as well. So Frank has a channel called Frankly Speaking, Frank Riker. And I created Mr. Sandsman. It's only kind of 4 months old. I'm still not sold on the idea of Mr. Sandsman. It's to do with my surname and the fact that I'm a Halloween fan as well. Because obviously Halloween 2, you have the song Mr. Sandman in there. And so I thought it was a nice kind of twist on that. But other people have suggested other names. And there is one other name that I'm thinking of changing it to or incorporating into the channel at some stage. Apologies for being a little bit late. I was busy watching Nigel Craig and Play Tendo Guy. They were doing a live stream, so I was kind of caught up in all of that. But yeah, 35 of you now watching. Thank you very much for joining. That's really, really cool of you. I went away this weekend to a horror convention, whereas I met up with a load of friends and spent the weekend with other YouTubers and influencers and all that kind of stuff. It was really, really fun. Sheffield Horror Con. It's one of the few horror cons we have in the UK. We have 2 or 3. Zara says only Sans still has a chance then. It does. It does. I kind of like Only Sans. I think it's more memorable than Mr. Sandsman. And the problem is that when you search out Mr. Sandsman, all it does is bring up Mr. Sandman, the song. And I've had a few people say to me, I can't find your channel. I can't find your channel. Hopefully, as the channel grows, it will become more recognizable on YouTube. And YouTube will kind of push it out there a little bit more. And it has done over the last couple of weeks. Like I said, in last 2 weeks, I think I've had something like 500 subscribers based on some of the physical media episodes that I've been doing. And I'm really grateful for that. I mean, I've had some great feedback and some really, really cool comments from people. It was kind of nice, refreshing, and seeing, another 10 subscribers. And another 10. It's kind of, you get a little kick from that. It's nice. I remember when we first started TSL and started doing certain episodes that were getting a lot of traction and a lot of, YouTube was pushing us out onto the algorithm, and it was nice. It was nice, and it's been nice this last few days seeing this little channel grow. And I want to continue doing that. I mean, over the weekend, it's a bank holiday weekend. I've not got much on. I've had a busy last few weekends with being on holiday and being at the convention, various other things. So I'm planning on doing some content this weekend, and I have a lot to talk about in terms of some of the physical media that I've received, and I have some more arriving over the weekend, which is really exciting as well. So this weekend was good. While I was at the convention, I managed to, and for those of you that saw the live stream on TSL the other day, apologies if I'm repeating myself here, but there is some crossover. Not too much, but I'll tell you about the physical media that I bought over in Sheffield over the last weekend. One of them was this movie here, and I will do a kind of episode on these individually, talking about what's on them. But this is a movie called Venom, which came out in the early 80s. It's a really, really good creature feature about a young kid taken hostage in a house, and he's delivered. I'm casting my mind back now to 40 odd years to when I first saw this, but he has a snake delivered, which is supposed to be a not a poisonous snake, and a black mamba gets delivered by accident, and it's caught up in the middle of this siege in this house with Klaus Kinski and Oliver Reed and various other British character actors, and so you have this snake on the loose in the middle of this kind of siege situation, which is really good fun. And I haven't seen it for so many years, and they brought it out on 4K. Blue Underground released this one, and I'm really looking forward to kind of getting into this over the weekend and have it. I love 80s British movies. I love the aesthetic of them. I love the there was right on the at the point whereas violence was coming to our TV screens with cop shows and things like that, and so British movies around the time had that kind of aesthetic and feel, and I really enjoyed Venom when it first came out. Looking forward to seeing it again. The other one that I wanted was Carrie, and Carrie came out on Arrow a year ago or something like that, and I remember chatting to Nigel about it, and they'd done a comparison online with the Scream Factory version versus the Arrow version, and the Scream Factory version won out. I watched a few videos on it, and so I've been waiting to kind of find the Carrie Scream Factory version. I ended up getting the Steelbook, which was that one there. I haven't unwrapped it yet, but it is. I think it was it Atmos or not? I can't remember. It's Dolby Vision for sure, HDR10. But apparently the transfer on this is really, really cool. Has pretty much all the special features and extras that they have on the Arrow version. So really looking forward to looking at that one as well. Like I say, I'm not going to go too deep into these because I will do individual videos on them at some point very soon. And also Creepshow, which I'm a massive fan of Creepshow. Ever since I saw it as a kid in the early 80s, I've been obsessed with this film, and rightly so as well, because it's great fun. I think it's a great gateway into horror, and the 5 stories, all written by Stephen King, produced and directed by George A. Romero, is a really creepy film, and Frank introduced his kids to this film at a very young age, and they love it. They absolutely love it. And so I saw this on Saturday. Film Treasures are a UK Blu-ray site that managed to get hold of a lot of the US boutique label stuff that's very difficult for us to get hold of in the UK, and so they managed to get. They were at the convention, and they had a lot of stuff on sale, and I picked this up for 30 quid. Which I thought was pretty good, considering if I imported it from the US in some way, shape, or form, it would cost me a lot more than £30. So I'm very happy with that, and I haven't got this movie in Atmos and Dolby Vision, so now I have. And then a few other things came during the week. I really, I got kind of shafted by one of the mail order companies in the UK. I think it was the last Friday or Saturday. I really wanted to see the last Mission Impossible film, Dead Reckoning. So I thought, you know what, I'll order it. And I got it on a kind of 24-hour delivery thing. It was due to come Saturday morning. Turned up on Wednesday. So I completely, I'd watched it. I streamed it instead on Netflix. It was on Netflix at the moment. So Dead Reckoning turned up 5 days late, even though I paid for a next day delivery. This was The Reckoning Part 1. The second one just got released in cinemas on Monday this week. But at some stage, I mean, I do love this film. I think it's absolutely tremendous. So I will crack it open at some point. I've chosen not to go and see Mission Impossible this weekend. I just I'm pretty tired, and I want to do a lot of stuff for the channel. And sitting in the theater for 3.5 hours to watch this, when you take into account ads and trailers, kind of put me off. So I may well wait. And I don't have an IMAX screen near me, and that's probably how I want to see it. So I may well wait and see this and watch this again just beforehand as well as a kind of refresher. So yeah, Dead Reckoning Steelbook, which I picked up early this week and turned up 5 days late, despite me paying a premium on it. Thanks, Tom. There's a massive kind of resurgence of Clint Eastwood at the moment, particularly on 4K. All the Dollars trilogy that's coming out with Arrow at the moment. A Fistful of Dollars arrived the other day, and if you haven't seen this film, it is absolutely fantastic. And I sat down and watched it the other day, and I was blown away at how good this movie is. I think it was made in around about 1964 or something like that. An Italian spaghetti western film with Clint Eastwood, and there's different versions of it on here. You can play it with English language, or you can play it with Italian with English subtitles. I think there's kind of 4 configurations of it. I was lazy on. I usually watch subtitled movies, but on Sunday when I got back from the con, I was very lazy and watched the American language version, which still was fantastic. And the score on this is just amazing. I don't know if there's any fans out there of the Dollars trilogy, but even if you've never seen them before, I implore you to watch these movies because they are so incredibly well made, and you can see where directors like Quentin Tarantino got their influences from when you watch this. And you know, Tarantino's always stealing ideas and even music for his movies. I know Kill Bill's got a lot of Morricone in there, and a lot of his other films have as well. So, you know, these are pretty cool to watch. They really are. And this, I'm going to go through this in a separate video. I won't go into it too much here, but I was blown away by the quality of this and the film, which I hadn't seen for such a long time. And I wasn't going to buy those. I was like, oh, do you know, I kind of wasn't in the mood for them. And then everybody started picking them up, and I thought, you know what? I'm going to get it. I'm going to get it. And as soon as I watched that, I was compelled to buy the next 2 movies. So I pre-ordered A Few Dollars More and Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Absolutely amazing films. Zara says, my dad is an enormous Clint Eastwood fan. I grew up with those films. Oh, brilliant. That's so cool. That's so cool. And Brandon says, I love that trilogy as well as Once Upon a Time in the West. Leone made such great films. He did. They were incredible. And I got to see Ennio Morricone live literally a couple of months before he died at the O2 in London. It was a fantastic concert, a really, really beautiful concert. And he did play a lot of this stuff. So that was amazing to see. But I woke up this morning, and in my email was a note from Arrow saying that they dispatched for A Few Dollars More. So hopefully tomorrow, fingers crossed, that will arrive and I can enjoy it this weekend. It's a long time since I've seen this one again, probably in the 90s when I saw it on TV. So I haven't seen it in the type of quality that I'm going to experience it in this weekend. So I'm very excited, absolutely excited. And I will do a video on the two box sets once I've watched them both. Oh, once I've watched A Few Dollars More. The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly is an even bigger box set than these ones. That's 4-discer. So I'm not sure what the configuration is, but it must be different versions of the movie. And I mean, I wish they'd put soundtracks in there as well. That would be nice to see some soundtracks in there. But I don't think Arrow tend to do that very often, but yeah. Shamrock says he's not a fan. Not wow. Are you not a fan because you're not a fan of westerns, or you haven't watched them, or you should check them out. Given you're such a massive film buff, I thought you'd be into these things, but it's a shame. It's a shame, buddy. But we'll get you on here anyway. You're going to come on here and talk some Jaws with me in a few weeks' time once that new Steelbook comes out, which I'm looking forward to. Don Mack says, it looks like the colors of the Dollars trilogy and Once Upon a Time in the West have finally been fixed in the recent 4K releases. The colors were a bit of a mess in previous releases on those movies. I hadn't seen any of the previous releases, but this looked good to me at the weekend. What I loved about it and what I'd completely forgotten about was the blood that they use. Italians love bright red blood, almost like bright red paint. And the scene where Clint Eastwood's getting tortured and he's got all those cuts and everything all over his face. The blood just reminds me like the blood from like Dawn of the Dead or Tenebrae or something. That really kind of vibrant red blood, almost like cartoon-like. But I mean, my favorite bit in this in Fistful of Dollars is it's kind of at the start. There's a really subtle moment where some guy goes past on a mule, and I think he's blind, and he sort of goes past Clint Eastwood really slowly, and as he passes him, he's got a little like a piece of paper stuck on his back, and it just says "Adios, amigo" on his back. And it's the way Clint Eastwood just looks at that sign on his back and then just grimaces and just slowly doffs his hat to him like that and carries on with what he's doing. I love it. It's fantastic. Really, really love it. Brandon says Klaus Kinski has a role in For a Few Dollars. He does. He's great. And obviously it's Lee Van Cleef comes into it as well as the Man in Black, I think so. Yeah, so excited. If I remember right, it's the bank robbery one, isn't it? Is the second one. It's so long since I've seen it. I remember watching them on the BBC years ago, all three of them. They did them like on successive Saturdays, and that's my only time that I've seen them. But yeah, so excited about this one. Logan says, have you seen Gran Torino? I have seen Gran Torino. I like Gran Torino. It's good fun. He's a miserable fucker in that film, and yeah, it's a good movie. I really like it. Shamrock says, I do like Western Star and watched the trilogy years ago, and they didn't do anything for me. Maybe do need to revisit them. I think you should. I think now you might kind of appreciate them a little bit more. I really, really like them. Frank's here. Hey, Frank, how you doing? He says a Brit talking about a Western is like a Jamaican talking about bobsledding. Look, my grandparents were big on Westerns. I remember both of my granddads loved cowboy movies. So I have experience of these, I've got previous here. I'm good. Jester says Unforgiven is Unforgiven's fantastic. Unforgiven is brilliant. Really is. Gene Hackman in that film is super. Well, they all are. Richard Harris is in there. Morgan Freeman, Clint Eastwood, superb. Klaus Kinski turned down a role in Raiders of the Lost Ark to be in Venom. Is that true? I didn't know that. Excuse me, folks. I'm having a drink here. Get one if you want to join me. Grab a drink. Pull up a chair. That's a Buffalo Trace and Coke Zero. It's Thursday in the UK. Thursday is the new Friday. Of course it's Thursday in the UK. But Thursday is the new Friday over here. So I like to have a drink on a Thursday night. Join me. Come on. Join me. Speaking of Jamaicans, have you seen Jafakan yet? We did talk about this on the channel a few weeks ago. This is a new movie that's coming out in the UK with Peter Andre, who's a pop star, a kind of older pop star now whose career has hit the skids a long time ago, and he's done a movie whereas he is recognized as looking like a somebody's Jamaican grandfather or something like that, and so he dresses up. They use him in some sort of sting or something. I can't remember the plot details, but He dresses up as him and with the dreads. And this is a white guy. This is an Australian guy. Yeah, you check out the trailer. Jafakan. Title tells you everything you need to know. But yeah, the lead star of the film posted the trailer for it on his Twitter feed and was pressured into taking it down eventually. Which is kind of interesting because the movie's directed by a black director and nobody has seen the movie. So you don't really know the full plot and what's going on in there. But it doesn't look good on the surface, let's put it that way. Jordan says, Peter Andre is like the Frank Sinatra of his generation. Kind of. Is that what you think? I know you've been facetious there. Paul H says, I'm with you, Darren. I'm on the beer of Moretti. Oh, fantastic. Love a Moretti. Really do. I don't drink much beer, but when I do, I do like a Moretti. What's next? What have I got next here that I wanted to share with you? Oh, the two recent Arrow releases. The first one being Jason Goes to Hell. Really cool artwork on that. Like it. And there's the back. I'm going to do a video on these as well, which I'm going to incorporate all three of the Arrow releases. So that's the 2009 remake, Jason Goes to Hell, and the dreadful Jason X. Although Frank is a massive fan of Jason X. That's one of his guilty pleasures. Me, not so much. Although it does have one of the best killings in the franchise in there. Lots of good stuff on there. Looking forward to diving into that. Let's see what's going on in the chat. Sarah says, I've had too much beer in the last week, so I will not be joining you. Yeah, you were Instagramming pints yesterday, as well as drinking at lunchtime last weekend when I saw you. Good for you. Good for you. Don Max says Klaus Kinski was supposed to play the German guy in Raiders who gets the medallion branded. Oh, the Ronald Lacey role. Okay. Who gets the medallion branded into his hand. I think the actor who got the role instead was perfect, though. Yeah. Yeah, when he gets that, brands his hand and then runs out into the snow. That's fantastic. What else is here? The Duck of Death? What's the Duck of Death? Shamrock says, hey, Frank, is Darren like English Bob from Unforgiven? Brandon says, my dad is just like Clint in Gran Torino. He's 81 and as mean as he is old. Really? Is he? Because the whole, like Sean Clark and Chris Nelson do that whole get off my lawn skit. Now, if I remember rightly, that's where that comes from, right? Gran Torino is the movie where get off my lawn came from. Am I right? Or does that go back even further than that? I seem to remember it is. 52 people in here at the moment. Welcome, guys. Come on in. Take a seat, grab a drink. Brandon says, Jason X is dumb fun. I could never hate it. It is cheap as hell, though, isn't it? I mean, it does just look like it was shot in a warehouse in Eastern Europe somewhere. I know it was shot in Toronto, but it's the type of low-budget movie that we get these days that's been shot in Eastern Europe. It looks pretty dreadful. It does look pretty dreadful. Zara says, I think at some point we need a poster tour on a video, always eyeballing them in the background. Yeah, I can't really show. I am going to do a video on this and the history of this and why that's so special to me. And I owe that to Neil at Rubber Gorilla. I said that I would do that because he's such a cool guy and he gave me that. He gifted me that. That's an expensive mask that took a lot of time to make. Somebody actually asked me the other day, said, where did you get that? I love it. I love that pumpkin. I was like, it's not a pumpkin. It's a turnip. And there's a reason why that means so much to me and why I have this kind of connection with Neil as well. There's a story behind it all, which I am going to put into an episode and talk about and give Neil a little bit of a plug because he's a super cool guy and he has a great company. He's an incredibly talented artist, and yeah, anything I can do to help that guy, I will. But yeah, oh, sorry, yeah. So this poster here is a double bill. You can't quite see it all, but it's a double bill of The Legend of Hell House and Vault of Horror. And so the story behind that is that for my 50th birthday, which was nearly 2 years ago now, my wife did some research in the film industry with various colleagues of ours, and she found out exactly what was released on the week that I was born. And it turned out it was a double bill of 2 horror films. So those movies were the 2 movies that were released on the week that I was born in the UK. So that's kind of got a lot of sentimental value to it. I think and it's an original quad poster as well. So she tracked down the poster and had it framed and all that kind of stuff. So that means a lot to me and will probably stay there for a long time. Likewise with the Creepshow one here, which I do want to hang on the wall. That's an original Creepshow 1 sheet, which one of my best friends got for me for my 50th birthday. They were both gifted at the same time. He actually watched the channel the other day and said, "What the fuck is my poster doing at the back of your bookcase for?" And I said, 1, it's a DVD case, and 2, if I hang that on the wall, it'll tear this wall down because it weighs a ton, does the frame that you put it in. But what I'm going to do with the Creepshow one is the Creepshow one is going to go take like a front and center position in the house somewhere at some point, rather than just having it stuffed down the back there. I've also got a Creepshow Mondo thing that you can't see there, and that one is an American Werewolf Mondo piece as well there. So that's all I have up at the moment, but I am going through a stage of kind of redesigning the backdrop and everything at the moment, so I will change things up a little. Shamrock says, I was at Holy Communion last week and I think I'm still sobering up. Logan says, it's in our culture that old people are grouchy and don't want kids on their property. I relate, to be honest. And Chester says, Jason Goes to Hell is not that bad. Jason not even in the movie often, and the score is good. You know what? I'm warming to Jason Goes to Hell. I used to think it was awful, and then when Frank and I did an episode on it not so long ago, I actually really enjoyed it. I thought it was good fun. I thought it was really good fun. Patrick says, I'm not off for a few more hours yet, and I don't drink, but I'm here listening. Well, thank you, buddy. You're still more than welcome. And Shamrock says, Darren, English Bob's nickname was the Duke of Death, and Gene Hackman calls him the Duck of... Oh, of course. Of course. I wonder what you were talking about then. Brandon says, my dad was career military. He enlisted before Kennedy was killed and got out after the first Gulf War. Walt and Gran Torino is my dad to a T. Well, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. That, having the dad that you could say is like Clint. John Jones says, I love that turnip jack-o'-lantern. They look so much creepier than pumpkins. Yeah, if you Google turnip jack-o'-lantern, they're terrifying. They look like rotted skulls. This weighs a ton. If I were to put this on my head, it does look like an actual turnip, but it's rubber, and it's just the way that he's designed it. It looks fantastic. I did try it on once, and it was quite uncomfortable to wear. I love the little sprouty bits that it's got on here as well. I'm going to show you those close up. The detail on it is just amazing. But I am going to do, like I said, I am going to do a proper show and tell on that, and explain the kind of why it means a lot to me, sentimentally and things like that. Shamrock says, I agree, a poster tour video would be good. You know what? Because working in the industry, I get a lot of posters, and I have loads stashed away. Loads and loads in the loft just through there, all in tubes. Certainly key releases over the last 20 years that I've worked on. I've got loads of posters. I just don't know what to do with them all. And also other film companies as well. If ever I want a poster, like all the Halloween ones, they were sent to me. The Jaws re-release, I've got all those posters. I mean, I haven't got an original Jaws poster, but I've got the re-release ones. I've got the original Halloween re-release poster. I've got tons, and I should maybe get them out one day and show you guys. But yeah, it's going to take me a while. I'd have to clear the loft out first to get to them, I think. Shamrock says, Darren, I was a few weeks out from being born on Halloween 2 release. Yeah, I was a few weeks out from being born on the Exorcist release as well. Otherwise, I would have had an Exorcist poster up there. But no, the release was Legend of Hell House and The Vault of Horror, which are two really good anthology movies if you've never seen them before. So, Jordan Moran, Educating Rita was the only movie that came out the week. I like Educating Rita. Michael Caine and Julie Walters, good film. I think it was really highly regarded and won a lot of awards as well, if I remember. Brandon says, I have a German version of that Creepshow poster. Oh, cool. You know what? I keep seeing this at the cons, but there is, I think it's Italian. There is an Italian Return of the Living Dead poster. Did I take a picture of it now at the convention the other day? There's a poster stall, and this Italian Return of the Living Dead poster is just stunning. Let me just see if I did take a picture of it, because I remember admiring it. No. I can show you Barry singing if you want, but no, I didn't take a picture of it. What a shame. Is it there? No, it isn't. But yeah, this Italian Return of the Living Dead poster, which was huge. It was like one that you would put in a bus side. And I've seen it at many conventions. I guess it's so expensive the guy can't sell it. And I just thought, there's no price on it. I'm guessing if you have to ask, then it's too much. But maybe one time I'll ask and see what it is. But the thing is, I've got nowhere to put it. Just go in the loft with everything else. It'd take up the whole of one of these walls. Linnea Quigley front and center as trash. It looks amazing. It really does. I wish I could find a photo of it for you, but we'll see. I'll see if I can find one when we finish and then maybe post it in the Facebook group. Batshit says, what did you think of Final Destination Bloodlines, Darren? I stayed away from trailers and went in blind. I booked a stay at the Strat in Vegas just before seeing it. It was like, you're shitting me. Oh, really? You're going to the Strat? I've stayed at the Stratosphere before. There's some cool stuff at the Stratosphere. There's a couple of like roller coaster rides at the top on the edge and everything, and you can also jump off the side of the Stratosphere on like a death slide type thing, which is fun as well. I haven't seen Final Destination Bloodlines yet. I have pre-ordered it. A steelbook is going to come my way probably in July or something like that. Not sure whether I'll get to the cinema to see it. I've been sat in the cinema all week. Today I was sat in the cinema for ages watching various things at work. And I just thought I can't go and sit in the cinema this weekend. So I'm going to give it a miss. I do really want to see it. And, you know, I know Barry's very high on it. And we were chatting about it at the weekend. But yeah, I will see it at some stage. But it doesn't look like I'm going to get to the cinema to see it at the moment. Don Max says, I watched The Legend of Hell House only because of seeing that poster on your streams. Really good movie. Yeah, it is. It's, yeah, I keep forgetting Roddy McDowall's in it as well. It's a long time since I've seen it. I've seen Vault of Horror more recently, but Hell House I haven't. It's a while since I've seen Hell House. Scott, hey Scott, how are you doing, buddy? Haven't seen you for a while. Frank says, I bet you don't have a see you next Wednesday poster. A guy who lives literally around the corner from me is the guy that you might have seen on Facebook who's been redoing them all. And he painstakingly rebuilt that poster. And I did at one stage have one reserved with him, and then we kind of lost contact a little bit. So maybe I'll reach out to him again because I would actually like that. That'd be quite fun on the wall, but then I may get dinged from YouTube for having a porno poster behind me. But anyway. So jealous. I am a poster junkie. Shamrock says, Darren, have you heard of Baroque folios? They are poster-side storage folders to preserve posters. Oh, you mean those ones that you're going to flip over? I wouldn't have anywhere to put it. I live in quite a big house, but it's just so full of stuff at the moment. Yeah, and eventually I'm going to downsize as well. So they're all in tubes. None of them are folded up. Like back in the sort of 80s, 90s, early 2000s, they did fold posters up. National Screen Services folded them up. And then over time, they stopped doing it. And so all of mine are all rolled and in poster tubes. So there's no creases on them at all. And as I said to you, I think I've told you before, one of my favorites is The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo with Rooney Mara and Daniel Craig on the front. And he's holding her like that. And she's naked completely. And we did the poster with her totally naked on it. But it looks so classy the way that it's shot. It looks fantastic. It really does. Scott Bainey says, Frank needs a trash cardboard cutout. Yeah, I think he's gone away from the cardboard cutouts now. I think they've all been folded up and put away. You'll see he's gone for a more conventional backdrop rather than Loomis and Nurse Karen behind him. And Logan says the Strat was where I stayed my first. It was my first time in Vegas. Was the Stratosphere as well, 20 years ago I think it was now. It's fine. It's a nice. It's a good starting point for a trip to Vegas. A little bit off the strip. Down the bottom end, maybe it's kind of in between the old town and the main strip, but it's easy to. I mean, it's all one road, isn't it? It's all easy to kind of get around, I suppose. Shamrock says I have a lot of Jaws posters, including the 2012 release poster. Do you have the re-release poster, the one that came out a few years ago, the Real D IMAX one? Because I think I might have two of those. If I have two, I'll fling one your way, David. I may have two. I'm not sure. If I do, you can have one of them. It's a one sheet size, I think. Brandon says, I just sent the Italian poster. I have the German one, but the Italian one is gorgeous. You did? Where did you send it to? Facebook, was it? You mean you bought it for me? Well done. That's nice. Let me have a look here, Brandon. Here we go. No, that's not it. That isn't it. It's a more busier poster than that. It has maybe about 4 or 5 characters on it. Oh, damn it. I wish I'd have taken a photo of it. Steve says, is it me or is your physical media collection growing quite rapidly? Are you getting the film buying bug again? Yes, I am. It is growing quite rapidly. I've had a lot of stuff on pre-order, and obviously I work for a film company as well, so I'm able to get my hands on a few things. But yeah, this is, I want to showcase a lot of that stuff on this channel here. So yeah, so a lot of stuff as well I've had for a long time. It's been in the loft or on the shelf behind me, and I haven't really kind of concentrated on it and not realized that I have 5 or 6 versions of a certain film, which is kind of good to do those sort of showdowns and stuff. I think one of the titles that I'm looking forward to getting over the weekend is this one, which I've managed to pick up from work. I think it's in the post for me now. But that Steelbook of Starman, which I'm really looking forward to. I haven't seen it for a lot of years now, Starman. And there's a few John Carpenter ones that have been done recently. So obviously we had Village of the Damned, we had Ghosts of Mars and Vampires. I quite like to pick those 2 up. But Starman is the 4K Steelbook that's coming along at the moment, which is in Dolby Vision and Atmos. It's got a Carpenter directory, a Jeff Bridges and Karen Allen commentary. Sorry, they came from Hollywood, re-entering Starman, a new retrospective documentary, the music of Starman, revisiting Starman. So there's interviews with the cast and crew. There's a lot of stuff on there, deleted scenes. So they've kind of gone to town on this. So I'm looking forward to it. But also, as well as Starman, and this movie I really am not a fan of, but I will get it just because it's Carpenter and just because I should revisit it again and double check that it is as fucking awful as I remember. And that's Dark Star. A brand new 4K box set is coming out of Dark Star, which I've pre-ordered it. I'm on the fence about, well, I'm not on the fence about this film. I don't like it, but I'm happy to be converted if this new version can do that. I think there's two different versions on this Blu-ray: a 72-minute theatrical version and like an 84-minute expanded theatrical version or something like that. So I'll give it another go just for you, Brandon. I'll try it again. Michael Carroll sends in £5, sorry, and says, "Hi Darren, do you think the Jeepers Creepers brand can ever recover from after the Dreadful Reborn?" Yeah, I think so. I think that I really do like the first two films. A lot of people on channels won't touch them because of the history with the director and all that kind of stuff, but you can't deny that both of them are pretty decent horror movies, particularly the first one. I think if it gets into the right hands, I think they can do it. I don't see why not. You know, there are films out there that have gone into the doldrums before and have been resurrected. So, I mean, you look at, I mean, some people will argue it wasn't a proper Wrong Turn movie, but you look at Wrong Turn, what a great job they did of that remake after those awful direct-to-video sequels that they did. I was, listening to a channel the other day that was saying that maybe Wrong Turn was a different movie, and in order to keep the rights alive, they bundled it as a Wrong Turn film, which is quite possible because the film bears no real resemblance to the original. But it's still a good movie. It's still a very creepy movie. Shamrock says, Darren, have you heard of a movie called The Caretaker? So, yes, yeah, indeed, yeah. I mean, Pinter. Harold Pinter wrote that, and he toured that show around for years with Donald Pleasance on stage. And I'm trying to remember his name, Luke, who joined Frank and I at Halloween 45. As a kid, he had his photograph taken with Donald Pleasance at that show when he was touring it would have been in the late 80s, early 90s or something. But yeah, The Caretaker, yeah, I'm familiar with that. Darth Marto says, Darren, I watched Deep Red the other night and loved catching the mirror shot because of you mentioning it. Yeah, Deep Red's fantastic. And Tenebrae, if you get a chance to watch Tenebrae as well, go for that. Really, really cool. And the score, I've got a playlist at the moment, and this is because of the party after the convention on Saturday was in a cinema bar in Sheffield, and they had a playlist playing which had some great music on it, all horror music themes, going from things like The Man Behind the Mask from Alice Cooper, from Jason Lives, to Dream Warriors from Dokken, to all this kind of obscure Italian Fabio Frizzi stuff. It had the music from Cannibal Holocaust they were playing, and I thought, this has got to be a playlist. Nobody sat down and curated all 100 or so tracks that we heard in that evening. It must be a playlist alone. And I found on iTunes this horror playlist, which pretty much includes all the music. The theme from the Claudio Simietti theme from Demons as well was on there. Love listening to that stuff. Italian horror had the best soundtracks. It really did. And Deep Red is one of those that's really catchy. Ryan says, Darren, have you seen The Clown at Midnight with Christopher Plummer? No, I haven't. I haven't heard of that one, I don't think. Sorry, Ryan. Shamrock says, no, I didn't get that release, Darren. I got a quad from the 2012 release. If you have a spare, that would be amazing. Yeah, let me look into that. We're due to do a clear out of our loft very soon. So once I get in, I think probably end of this month, start of June. Once I get in there and figure out where everything is, I'll have a look. And if I have a spare, you are welcome to it. Because Shamrock kindly offered me a book the other day. Said, I've got a spare of this. Would you like it? Unfortunately, I already had it. So it was as much of a nice gesture as it was. I already had the book, which was the Martha's Vineyard, Memories from Martha's Vineyard, I think, which was a Making a Jaws book. But yeah, you're welcome to it, David, by all means. Nick says Starman is really good. Love Starman. Kingslayer says Ghosts of Mars and laughs. I know what you mean. And Ghosts of Mars is a terrible film. I know, because it was one of the first films I worked on when I started working at Sony. So I have first-hand experience of that. However, it is part of his filmography, and being my favorite director, I'd like to kind of have that at some point. I'm not going to go in steaming in and buy it at full price at the moment. I'll wait until it drops. Chester Franklin says Vampires was good. His best movie from the 90s. His best movie from the 90s? Quite possibly. Mouth of Madness, Village of the Damned, Vampires, Memoirs of an Invisible Man. Yeah, quite possibly. Brandon says, Justice for Dark Star. 53 of you in here at the moment, guys. It's really good to see you all. Thank you for joining. Thank you. Chester says, Starman is good. I agree. Batshit Scary says, it weren't Reborn that killed that series. Reborn. Sorry, I remember you talking to someone else. Chester says the music. Yeah, the music for Starman is good. It's kind of different, but fits with the film. It's different for Carpenter, a bit of a departure. Starman was Carpenter trying to show Hollywood he could step outside the horror genre. It's such a great road movie. I tell you what was interesting the other day, and I just kind of thought about this off the top of my head, and I was thinking, did Carpenter ever get nominated for an Academy Award? And I thought about it, and I thought about it. I thought, nah. And then something in the back of my head went, you dickhead, he has an Academy Award. He does. John Carpenter has won an Academy Award for a short that he did. Was it The Legend of Bronco Billy or something like that? In the early 70s, or maybe even be late 60s. He won an Academy Award for it. I think it was for Best Short Film. Bit of a pub quiz trivia there for people. Does John Carpenter have an Oscar? Yes, he does. Kingslayer says, I think Terrifier 3 has aged badly in retrospect now that the hype has gone away and the cliffhanger pissed me off. Really? You know what? I haven't watched. I've got them all down there. I haven't watched it since I saw it in the UK gala screening. I should watch it again, maybe. It's aged already badly. What in 7 months? I'll take a look at that again soon, I think. Nick says, Brandon, ever looked into a company called Glowbox that sells LED lightbox poster frames? They look cool to put. Yeah, I'd really like one of those. Maybe not the LED one, but certainly a lightbox poster frame. I have my friend Chris, Orange Grove 74, who's a friend of mine from the conventions. He has some of those backlit poster boxes and pointed me in the right direction for them. So at some stage when I get finally settled with where I'm going to do this shizzle, I may get one. But at the moment, I'm using a very kind of depth of field lens so that when I put something in the camera like that, it goes into focus straight away. But what that does is it means it doesn't give you much background there. So I'm trying to be as as clean in the background as I can be. I realized recently that I was just filling it full of DVDs and just looked like clutter everywhere. But over the next few days, I'm going to do something to kind of tidy up these shelves here, and maybe light them up a little bit as well. Don Max says Dark Star has a lot of low budget charm. Carpenter regards it as a student project and not as his first real movie. He calls Assault on Precinct 13 his first real movie. I'd agree with that. I love Assault on Precinct 13. What a film. Somebody's Watching Me is also underrated as well. I only watched Somebody's Watching Me about 2 or 3 years ago for the first time. Maybe a bit before that. It was okay. It was okay. Adrian Barbeau, I think Charles Cyphers was in it as well. Yeah, it's a bunch of Carpenter regulars in there. It was okay. It was okay. I mean, it's hard to believe that he went from Halloween to that, because the production values are kind of like fall off a cliff compared to Halloween. Darth Martow says, I've now seen Deep Red, Tenebrae, Suspiria, and love them all. Good. Yeah, some great films out there. And Don Max says, Goblin is great. Yeah, Goblin is superb. Really, really love Goblin. Nick says, yup, pricey though, I gotta say, but they look cool. Are you talking to Brandon? Old VHS tapes in the loft, you think? No. I got rid of every single VHS tape. I'm not a fan of VHS format. In fact, recently I noticed that Vice Press had released Escape from New York on VHS. And I see a lot of my friends on social media are ordering it and posting pictures, and I guess it's a cool thing to have, but it just doesn't interest me at all. The posters now that they've done are fantastic. They've done some new Escape from New York posters, which look terrific. So I may be tempted by those. Don Max says Vampires was the last good Carpenter movie. What was his last film? The Ward, wasn't it? Unless you're going to count that terrible fucking thing he did on Peacock or whatever it was a couple of years ago. But yeah, The Ward. And I haven't watched The Ward since it came out, and I didn't hate it. I thought it was just okay. It was a bit lazy. And then the other day, someone posted a behind-the-scenes photograph, which I put on the TSL Facebook group. Now, The Ward was 2010, was it? Or something like that. I think it was 2010. And I didn't realize Sydney Sweeney was in The Ward. And this picture was a picture of Carpenter with his arm around a very young Sydney Sweeney, who was starring in the film, which I had no idea about. I mean, why would I? I mean, it's 15 years since I've seen it. But yeah, interesting that she was in it. Kingslayer says it's between Vampires and In the Mouth of Madness for Carpenter's movie of the 90s. Yeah, I don't know. I think Vampires for me. Hey, Isaac. Sorry, Frank. It's taken me a while to get to that message. Hey, Isaac. How you doing, buddy? Good to see you. Will that do, Frank? John Jones says, Vampires is such an awesome film. I watched that so many times on VHS. And Shamrock says, the book isn't Memories from Martha's Vineyard. It's on location in Martha's Vineyard. Yeah, I just... Oh, God. I know which one you mean. Memories from Martha's Vineyard is the big coffee table book, which I do also have as well. Yeah. Eli Cortez says, what's up, down and chat? I hope you're doing awesome. Nick says, Carpenter should have gotten nominated for the score to Halloween. If The Omen could get nominated, Halloween should have as well. Yeah, it all depends whether they did a campaign or not. And I think that when you think about the time that it took Halloween to kind of blow up, I think it was a long time after Halloween itself and probably the Academy Awards period. So maybe there just wasn't the opportunity. That's right. He won a Student Academy Award for The Resurrection of Bronco Billy. Jeff Bridges was nominated for Starman. True. Absolutely. Student Academy Award. Don't downgrade it. It's an Oscar. It's a bloody Oscar. A student Oscar. But I guess you're talking about Terrifier. Has it had time to age? Was just because Christmas has just gone. John Jones says, I still haven't seen Terrifier 3. I'm trying to find a time to watch it when the wife isn't around. Too traumatized her as she's afraid of clowns. Okay. Yeah, a lot of people are. Brandon says, he and his fellow filmmakers won the Best Live Action Short Oscar for The Resurrection of Bronco Billy. Jeff Bridges was nominated for Starman. Yep, we just saw that. And Chester says, somebody's watching me is a good underrated TV movie. Yeah, it's fine. Did I get it on DVD? How did I watch it? Can't remember if I rented it or whether I bought the DVD of it. I know there is one kicking around. I have canned goods in my cupboard that are older than Terrifier 3. No, maybe I didn't buy it. Someone's watching. No, I watched it on iTunes. I know I watched it on iTunes. Shamrock says, Darren, would you rate Assault on Precinct 13 soundtrack as one of Carpenter's best? I absolutely would, yeah. Yeah. It's fantastic. I have it with it's a double CD. When I say double, it's two CDs on one CD. It's not actually two CDs. And I think one part is Assault and the other part is Darkstar, if I remember rightly. Darkstar's a fucking atrocious soundtrack. It's just like someone's... it's terrible. It's like, I don't know, someone's like dropped a stylophone in a sink full of water or something. It's awful. Neil says, I recently got rid of most of my DVDs on Music Magpie. Got like 40 quid for 200 DVDs. You know what? I got rid of a lot on there as well. The ones that I bought after the cleaner robbed me, I ended up getting rid of on Music Magpie as well. I think I got rid of a lot of Blu-rays on Music Magpie. It's kind of handy because, you know, they just come to your house, collect the box, check it, and then send you the money. I guess they're quite honest about what you've got that's worth a few quid as well. It does tend to flag stuff like that. So if you're getting 50p for most things, or even less, 20 pence, and then all of a sudden you see one when you scan it and it says £2.50, put it aside because you'll probably get a lot more than that yourself if that's what they're offering you. Shamrock says, is your Jason Takes Manhattan VHS not in the loft, Darren? Be worth a fortune by now. I'm trying to remember what I did with that. I think I sold all my VHSs and I had a lot. I probably just put them in a box and took them down to a cash converters or something like that. Can't remember, to be honest. Maybe I did a car boot sale or something. I don't know. I can't remember. It's the late 90s when I started getting rid of my VHSs. Excuse me. John says, I actually have special VHS tapes of the Dark Knight trilogy along with Scream 4 through 6. I get why people don't like them, but have a huge soft spot, annoying tracking issues and all. I have one VHS, and I was thinking about giving it away, actually. Maybe I'll give it away on the channel at some point. It's a VHS of Terrifier 3, which came with that kind of box set that I got from Australia for Terrifier. Chester says, The Thing is a great masterpiece that he did. Absolutely is. Brandon says, I really liked his 2 Masters of Horror episodes, Cigarette Burns and Pro... Does that say Pro-Life? I remember Cigarette Burns. I don't think I remember the other one. I will have seen it at some point. I can't remember the title. Does that say Pro-Life or Pro-Life Profile? I can't remember. Who cares? Justin says, VHS were awful. Aspect ratio cut out half the movie and all the colours were too dark. Yeah, when it wasn't dancing around like that as well. Yeah, VHS is bloody terrible. I get that some people are nostalgic for it, but it's such a step back. It's not like vinyl where you're getting a level of quality that sometimes you don't even get on CDs. VHS is just like going back to the Stone Ages. Terrible. No detail there. Everything, like you say, missing. Sparkles, creases, bloody wobbling around, sound going up and down. Dreadful format. But of course, it's all we had back then. Don Mack says, Assault on Precinct 13 soundtrack is why Donald Pleasance took the role in Halloween. His daughter was a fan of that Carpenter soundtrack and convinced him to take the Halloween role. I thought she was a fan of the film, and that's why she convinced her. I didn't realize it was the soundtrack. I've always thought it was the film. Logan says, shepherd's pie for dinner tonight, Darren. My third time making it. Good man. Love shepherd's pie. Happy Sanjo. Hey, Happy. How you doing, Coy? Are you a fan of the Lord of the Rings trilogy? No. To put it bluntly. No, I'm not. In fact, I've seen them. Like, I didn't mind the original trilogy, but then when the second lot came out, The Hobbits, and I was sat watching one of them, and I'm sat watching little people wash up and do the dishes and sing in the kitchen and all that kind of stuff. I was just like, fucking not gonna be arsed with this. No, I'm not a fan of the Lord of the Rings films. I could push. I could probably watch the original trilogy again. I have seen them twice. I think I saw them once in the cinema and then once on Blu-ray or something like that. I can't remember. I don't own them, but I'm not a massive fan. Not a massive fan. But certainly not the last three. Oh, God. Did you see Warfare, Darren? I did. Watched it last night and it blew me away. The sound design is stunning. Yeah, Warfare is, is up there with a string of really tough combat movies that I've seen over the last 20 years. Things like Hacksaw Ridge, things like Black Hawk Down, even the Michael Bay film 13 Hours, which I think is his best film by a long stretch. But Warfare is really special, and almost feels like a reconstruction rather than an actual movie. And when you say the sound design is stunning, it is absolutely stunning. It really does make you feel like you're in the room with those guys. And I don't know if you noticed, but the movie has no score whatsoever. And that's what gives it that kind of realistic feel, I guess. And there's a point where as a bunch of soldiers actually come into the film, they're actually real soldiers. And it was directed by a real soldier as well, along with Alex Garland. Stunning film. And really short as well. Just like kind of in and out, 90 minutes. And so just stressful from beginning to the end. Very violent, very graphic, and just, makes me realize that I never want to be in a situation like that. Horrible, but a really compelling movie. Don Mack says it's nice to look out for signature Carpenter style shots in someone watching me. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. Happy Sanjo says, I don't know if I can recommend it unless you're a big Carpenter fan. Oh, someone's watching me. Let me just get Happy's super chat here. Thank you, Happy. These solo sit-downs are great. Love the content. Thank you, Happy. Cheers. I mean, the one thing that I want to keep doing is, even though, I'm doing a lot of short sort of form videos, 10 minutes, 15 minutes here and there, that sort of thing, is I want to keep the community going. What you find is a lot of sites do a lot of pre-recorded stuff, but they don't have a community. And it's always really important to me that there's a community with this. And that's why there's 66 of you watching this right now. So I am going to try and do a live episode a week, along with all this short form content and the TSL content as well. Frank and I are getting together to record some stuff tomorrow afternoon. We're going to record Back to the Future, and then on Monday We're going to do a live episode on our well, there'll be 20 in total. It's Dracula Day on Monday. So we are going to do our 10 favorite Draculas each. And that will be a stretch. There are a lot of Draculas out there, but finding 10 different ones each and be able to talk about them will be interesting. Happy Sanjo said, big fan of... Oh, thank you, Happy. It's very kind of you. And Frank, too, of course, goes without saying. Brandon says, Alex Garland is one hell of a talent. From his early stuff with Danny Boyle to his new stuff, he just remained consistently great. Yeah, and he's just reteamed with him again for 28 years. Watch out for that, folks. You're going to love it. You'll absolutely love it. Logan Reynolds says, the only horror VHS I had was 2 tape set of Jaws. One was the movie and one was the extras. I found it in a cabinet when I went to look for Christmas presents. I felt guilty and told my mom. God, we all used to do that when we were younger though, right? Yeah, I used to have a double cassette, and Frank still has it because I made him get it out on the channel one day. It's like a double cassette of Halloween. It's like that thick. You open it up and you got 2 cassettes in there. I think they're orange cassettes. You get a key ring in there as well. I think one cassette is the original Halloween in widescreen, and I think the other one is maybe the TV version, I think. But yeah, I had that kicking around for years. Damn it. I should have included that actually when I talked about my Halloween physical media. Dracula Day sucks. Friendship is a crazy funny movie. Friendship. Do I know that? Is that Alex Garland? Let me just Google that. Okay. This is a new one, or newish one, an American black comedy film written and directed by Andrew DeYoung in his directorial debut. Okay. Film centers on Craig Robinson, a socially awkward marketing executive who yearns to be friends with his charismatic neighbor and weatherman. Cool. Okay, maybe I'll check that out. Thanks for the recommendation. Gary Smith says, hey, Darren, I saw Carpenter live at Shepherd's Bush Empire on his 2018 tour. It was incredible hearing music I'd listened to for decades. Love your channel, mate. Thank you, Gary. I saw him live in London as well. It wasn't Shepherd's Bush. It was the Troxy out in East London. God, I've got a T-shirt of it as well. I'm trying to remember what the date would have been. It would have been either 2017, 2018 or something like that. And it was mobbed in there. It was great, though. It was a great gig. Really, really cool gig. And I do have... Actually, let me grab these. 1 second. I can't find them. Maybe I brought them in here. Oh, there they are. 2 Blu-rays, which I believe were only available on his website, which was that one, Carpenter Live. Let me take this chat off the screen. Which is all different venues all over the world, I think. Nothing inside. It was that one. And then John Carpenter, he's such a twat. So, like, he does that. And then goes, oh, we can make some more money on this. And then brings out like a disc of extras separately, which you have to pay, you know, $30 for or whatever. But yeah, I bought that on his website as well. Which shows all the behind the scenes stuff, the rehearsals, the meet and greets, all that kind of thing. It goes on for, I don't know how long it is. whatever it is, it wasn't worth the money, I don't think. But it's nice to have if you're a Carpenter fan. Justin says, Darren, have you ever collected vinyl CDs or any? Right, I've got a lot of CD soundtracks. I got rid of most of my CDs because I just ripped everything, and it's stuff that takes up so much space. So I have everything backed up, but the soundtracks I did keep, and they're all kind of down there and outside there. So I do get a lot of Intrada and La La Land and all that kind of stuff sent through. So my father-in-law passed away a few years ago, and then my mother-in-law passed away last year. And when she died, we rescued all. They were old hippies. They were hippies when they were younger, but they had a lot of really cool vinyl from the 60s and 70s. A lot of really kind of cool stuff that's worth a lot as well. So we're going to buy a turntable in the summer and start listening to some of the stuff and work out what we want to do with it. But at the same time, I've got my eye on a lot of soundtrack albums as well, which I want to get on vinyl. So because I'm a Sonos guy, there is a Sonos turntable. So we decided let's just do it in the summer. We'll we've been on holiday, a few trips, all that kind of stuff. Let's do it in summer. Let's buy a turntable and start listening to some of the old stuff and get some new stuff in as well. So I am going to start. I think you will start seeing some vinyl on this channel, I think. Neil says the Expendables 3 was sold for 1p. Oh, to Music Magpie? Right, okay. I think the most I got was for a Jean-Claude Van Damme box set, which was about £8. Jesus, they do rip you off. Steve says the best thing about the VHS was the box art. That was it. But in its day, the video shop was my church. Yeah, absolutely. And I want to go to the 80s video shop, the pop-up one in the Midlands. I think it's in Derby. So Chris, friend from the convention, we talked about it at the weekend, and he says, when you come up and stay, when I next go, he's invited. He said, I'll take you to the 80s video shop. So that'll be really cool. And they're doing a screening at the 80s video shop of an American Werewolf in London pretty soon, with Paul Davis doing a commentary. He's the guy that directed Beware the Moon, the American Werewolf documentary that's popular extra on the Blu-ray, and also he wrote the book as well, which I have somewhere. This amazing American Werewolf book, which is well worth it if you can get hold of a copy. The stuff in here is just brilliant. It's so well researched, and I must get him to sign this the next time I see him. But yeah, well worth it. Actually, I should get him on the channel at some point to talk about his experience making the documentary and the book. He did the Lost Boys book as well, which is really cool. Nick says, Darren, Tango and Cash 4K is going to be coming out later this year, and it was just announced, and it's going to be in Atmos 2. Cool. I'd probably think about buying that, I think. Why not? I don't mind Tango and Cash. I think it's good fun. Let me see if I can just reduce this down. I keep covering my face up. Yeah. Yeah, Tango and Cash was always fun. It's got King Kurt in there, so yeah, of course. Shamrock says, I have a big soundtrack collection. Also, Eli says, Darren, are you grabbing the new In Search of Darkness 90s edition part 2? I will do. I've backed all of them so far. I'm credited on all of them, which isn't no big feat at all. Everybody who invests gets a credit, but it'd be a shame to miss this one off. I've also done the Aliens documentary that those guys did. The action one that they did was In Search of Last Action Heroes, I think it was. In Search of Darkness, which was the sci-fi documentary, and also The Thing, they've done a Thing expanded documentary as well. So I've backed all of those. So I know it's kind of only got like 6 weeks on sale or something, but I'll when I get the moment, I will definitely buy that. I think it's about £70 or something for the Blu-ray and a credit and a digital version and a poster and all that guff that they usually send you. Brandon says, I bet that American Werewolf book isn't as good as Tommy Lee Wallace's book. No, nothing is as good as that. You know what? I don't even know where that fucking book is. I haven't seen that book for ages. I always feel really bad because he built it up and built it up for so long, and then when it came along, it was just so poor. And it was so poor that I haven't actually brought myself to read it at all. I need to find it. I don't know what I did with it. Remember in COVID, there was that toilet paper shortage? Who knows? You returned your copy? Wow. Poor old Tommy Lee Wallace. It was such a mess. Even like on the cover, it said Halloween 3 with a Roman numeral. Not with the Roman numeral, but with a number 3, which is like, you directed this film and everybody knows it's the Roman numerals that you use, unless there was some licensing thing that he was getting around or something. I don't know, but yeah. Dean said, hey, Dean, how you doing, buddy? Dean says, I was so bummed I missed out on the original, but when part 2 came out, I jumped on it. Oh, were you talking about In Search of Darkness? Is it In Search of Darkness? Yeah, In Search of Darkness. Yeah. No, the sci-fi one was called In Search of Tomorrow. That was it. That was a good one as well. That was a good one. But the trailer for the In Search of Darkness 95 to 99 looks terrific. There's some really cool stuff on it. Nick says, what did you think about Carpenter being fired from the distributor of The Death of the Unicorn flick? He did the score to it. Yeah, he did. Yeah. And got paid, then fired, and then they redid the score. It will surface, I hope, one day. I don't think he would give a shit, honestly. I mean, a press release went out when he was hired to do the score, and then when the film came along, and I looked and I was like, hold on a minute, why is he not credited for the music? And then it turns out that he did turn in the soundtrack and they didn't like it, and so they used somebody else. I don't think he'll care at all. He got paid. That's the main thing for him. Flavio Banana Leonetti says, invite Tom and do a live read-along. Tom? Who's Tom? 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 You mean Paul? The guy who did the book? Eli Cortez says, I set the first In Search of Darkness 80s Elvira edition to our guy, Davey Deathray. Oh, okay. Cool. Yeah, they're great documentaries. I think most of them are available to watch on, if it's not Shudder, on Amazon Prime or something like that. They were anyway. I mean, it's a while before they hit those platforms. But I think they do a really good job. They do a really good job. Yeah, In Search of Darkness, I've been a backer since number 2, and I picked up In Search of Tomorrow, and I think I'm waiting on The Thing expanded too. Yeah, like I said, the other one's In Search of Action Heroes, which is quite short, considering most of them are sort of 4 and 5 hours. In Search of Action Heroes is around about 2 hours, I think, maybe 2.5 hours. Don Max says, I just looked up Roger Ebert's review of An American Werewolf in London. He panned it. No surprises given it. Oh, Jesus Christ. Who cares? Honestly, those guys over the years, I love watching their reviews online. I really do. Especially when it comes to horror. And, you know, when you look at their worst of the years, particularly in the early 80s when we had that kind of avalanche of slasher movies, they just get so cross about them. They really do. Tommy Lee? What am I missing here? Is it Tommy Lee as in Tommy Lee from Motley Crue? What, do a read along of American Werewolf book with Tommy Lee? I'm Eli Cortez says you need to do a collab with. Sorry, Flavio, you've lost me there. Eli Cortez says you need to do a collab with the Twisted Locker guys. I have. If you go back maybe a year, I was on their channel for sure, and I'm quite happy to have the Twisted Locker guys on here. Absolutely, anytime. I love my Welsh brothers. We had a good time at For the Love of Horror last year, and had a good old booze up and a good laugh. They're great in person, very funny guys, and congratulations to Curtis, who I think has just got engaged this last weekend. Oh, Tommy Lee Wallace is what he... What am I doing? God. And the Halloween book. I thought you were on about the American Werewolf book. That's why, of course, Tommy Lee. Brain fart. Sorry, Flavio. Yeah, he means the Halloween 3 book. Yeah. Of course. Right, folks, I think I've been going for about an hour and a half pretty much now. Thank you all for joining us. As I said, Frank and I are going to get together tomorrow and record an episode for TSL of Back to the Future, which I haven't had a chance to watch yet. I'm going to try and do it early tomorrow morning. And then Monday we'll be on TSL Live doing our top 10 Draculas. And then I should be dropping a bunch of content over the weekend as well. I've got a lot of Blu-rays that I want to review. But before I go, I want to show you this. I saved this to the end because I think it's a little thing of beauty. This arrived the other day. A Dirty Harry 4K box set, which has all sorts of shite with it. I don't know whether I wanted this version. I did want this version. There's a lot of stuff in there that I'm not going to show you it all because I'm going to do it on the channel. But this lovely steelbook here, which I think looks amazing. Nigel was moaning about the colours of it the other day, but I think it looks great. A nice picture of him there as well. There's the spine. And you have Andrew Robinson on the inside too. Yeah, folks, Eli's right. If you could hit the like button, that would really help get this out there. Once again, folks, thank you so much for... I'm blown away by the Halloween 4K episodes that I've done. Between them, they've racked up around about, I'd say around about close to 10,000 views. And the Escape from New York one as well. Which has just been fantastic. My YouTube's really pushing my stuff out there at the moment, and like I said, over the last couple of weeks, I've had 500 subscribers. I'm on my way to 1,250 at the moment. I was only at 800 2 weeks ago, so that's amazing. I'm really, really pleased with that, and I'll keep plugging away and try and get word out there about the channel. I might make these a regular thing on a Thursday, these lives. Feels like a good time to do it because I'm not working as early on a Friday morning. I don't go in until, I work from home on a Friday, so it really helps. But no, thank you for all the support. It really does mean the world to me, both on this channel and on TSL as well. Frank really appreciates it too. And if you haven't subscribed to Frank's channel, make sure you hop over there and show Frankly Speaking some love. He does some great stuff over there. That's it for now. I shall be back over the weekend. I'll drop something. I'm intending to drop something tomorrow night. I'm not quite sure what it is yet, but Friday night seemed to be a good Friday 9-10 o'clock UK time have proved to be a good time for me to drop content. So I'll try and keep doing that. In the meantime, I shall speak to you all I shall speak to you all soon. Thanks a lot, guys. Cheers.